Scott Holiday here, and welcome back to Plus 2 Wrestling. Before we get on to the video, I have to say it, bingo card's not looking great so far. I already predicted that the Smashing Machine would get 3 Oscar nominations, and it got 1. When I made the prediction, I was pretty sure that makeup was a lock for Smashing Machine, so I didn't think saying 1 Oscar nomination was bold enough. So I went for 3, and now I look stupid, and there's a whole box on my bingo card I definitely won't get. I also predicted a mass exodus of GCW talent, and since then, John Wayne Murdoch has announced his return to GCW, and Allie Katch has returned to GCW. I don't know why anyone listens to me. In any case, listen to me now as I get on my soapbox. This is it. This is the big one. This is one of my favorite videos to do every year. This is where I sit down and give you the 10 names that I believe will have a breakout year this year in 2026. Couple ground rules I go over every year. This is not the best of independent wrestling. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that people like Cheeseburger, Shotzi, and the one called Manders are great. That is not what this list is about. But if you need to hear me say that, Shotzi, Cheeseburger, and the one called Manders are all great. But the point of this list is breakout names. These are names you may not know, but I believe will have a breakout year and be on your radar when 2026 comes to an end. Now, I also tend to make a joke where I say something like, you might be sitting at home and saying, Scott, what about someone like Anakin Murphy? He was the unsanctioned pro hardcore champion this year. And then I would say something like, I am limited to only the wrestling that I consume. So if there's a name that you really like and I don't say it, well, that's probably just because I don't know them. Here's the thing. This year I decided on a new show, and I have been trying to get out there Wrestle Chowder, where I try to consume as much wrestling in a month and then serve it in a big bowl for you to enjoy. And as a result, I've been watching a whole lot of wrestling. And I, in fact, know Anakin Murphy, and he would have been my number 11. I think that Anakin Murphy is fantastic. He's showed up in places like 0-1 and TWE and has a great underdog spirit that I really connected with. So this should be a bit of a wider pool. You might hear some names that you may not expect out of Scott Holiday here on the East Coast when we look at these 10 names. So let's get to it. Here are the 10 breakout stars of 2026. Honorable mentions. So quick disclaimer here. The honorable mentions aren't a list of like 11 through 20 of this list. These are people that I considered to put on this list but got disqualified for one reason or another. Because this is a breakout list, I don't want to pick people who have already ascended to a certain level. For example, I really wanted to put on this list Big Trouble Ben Bishop. He is probably the best Instagram follow you can make today. Makes a lot of great insider videos about what it's like to be an indie wrestler, and in ring he's great. He's 6'12" and very entertaining. However, he recently got a WWE tryout, so I kind of feel like it's cheating to put him on this list. And I have to say the same thing about LJ Cleary. LJ Cleary I adore. He's one of the best professionals in the backstage area. In professional wrestling, it's very common that you shake hands with everybody, just so everyone is respected, and we know that we respect everyone's jobs backstage. LJ Cleary pulled me aside and said, hey, I've seen you many times and I don't remember your name. I really want to make sure I remember it. So tell me your name again. Thank you for everything you do. Which I super appreciate that LJ Cleary took the time to do that. He is a ball of charisma, fantastic entrant, can get it done in the ring, and is definitely the MVP of Ireland wrestling. But he too had a WWE tryout, so I can't quite put him on the list. On the AEW side of things, there was the recent signing of Alec Price and Jordan Oliver. Now, the East Coast ace, Jordan Oliver, I wasn't considering for the list because I did think he was already too high up. But Alec Price was definitely being considered for this list. But when you're signed to AEW, you have already broke out. So no room for Alec Price and Jordan Oliver on the list. Also, I was greatly considering Luca Mancini for this list. If you go back and look at my past versions of this list over the years, I am a big mark for Ethan Wild LLC. If you're part of Wild LLC, I kind of adore you. And I've basically put every member of Wild LLC on these lists, and this was going to be the year for Luca Mancini. However, Luca has decided to step away from the world of professional wrestling and has officially retired. And when you're retired, it's really hard to break out. So I cannot put Luca Mancini on this list. Also on the list, he had gotten it as high as number 3 on this list, is Jet Jagori. Jet Jagori is one of the most entertaining acts on the indies right now. He's just a smarmy heel that you really want to smack. Whether he is alone or he is joined by the delinquents, he is always a force to be reckoned with inside those ropes. However, recently in Power Pro Lucha, he lost a match to Common MK and is now being forced to wear a mask. So Jet Jagori is gone, and we are now joined by Senor Tiramisu. So I can't really put Jet Jagori on the list if he doesn't exist anymore. And I don't know nearly enough about Senor Tiramisu to put him on this list. So this close, Jet, you will be missed. And finally, I wanted to put the Citywide Street Gang on this list. That is Tom LaRosa and Martin Hughes. However, Tom put a reel on Instagram on December 1st that contained Last Christmas. That got me whammed. On December 1st, Tom. Prison. Number 10. Now, number 10 is always a bit of a wild card. I try to put something unpredictable here in the number 10 spot. The first year I did this, I picked Brian Ace, who was very much a rookie, only having a handful of matches at the time that I put him on this list. He did end up having a great run in places like High Tension Wrestling, unfortunately currently on the shelf, but we miss Brian Ace and hope that he's back soon. The year after that, in 2024, I decided to go with Al De Niro. Al De Niro was on a bit of a losing streak and really started to come into his own in the year 2024. He's currently doing stuff with Mob Hill, which is a fantastic tag team. And then last year, I went with Leslie Bestington, my first manager that I put on this list, who you might know better as Super Eye Patch Wolf, and I think he did no wrestling in 2025. I don't think he actually took part in a single wrestling storyline. But I still stand by that choice because I love me some Leslie Bestington. This year, I'm going way off the map. I'm going to put a promotion in my number 10 spot. Now, for the record, I was very tempted to put Power Pro Lucha as a whole in this spot, but if I'm being honest, I'm a little biased. I work for Power Pro Lucha, and I just kind of wanted to put a spotlight on them, so instead of putting them at number 10, I'm just rambling on about how great Power Pro Lucha is, but not officially putting them on the list because that would be a conflict of interest. But when I was doing research for Wrestle Chowder, I really didn't watch a lot of full shows. Like, I would put a show on, wait for a clip that I thought would be funny for the show, and then I would move on. But there was one company that I would get excited to actually watch. And even if I found a good clip from that company, I still tended to watch the full show because I hadn't seen a wrestling company like this in quite some time. And that's SOS Wrestling. SOS Wrestling is a wrestling company that takes place on a desert island. The idea is that everyone there crashed on the island, and as a form of like ritual to the island, there's now a wrestling company there. It has a lot of feelings of like old school Chikara, where there are levels of like supernatural and a lot of silliness, but the level of action's also very high. They will have island rules matches, which brings in weapons and cinder blocks and blow darts, lots of crazy stuff. And the characters in this promotion are so enjoyable and so much fun to watch. If I'm being completely honest, my Breakout list was littered with SOS wrestlers. Guys like Casey Rasselhoff, the human fire violation Dante, Mojo, Derek Jaws, Pitfall Jones, Ethan HD, all caps. All amazing wrestlers taking part in this very silly, out there story with such a dedicated fan base. Every single show that I watched looked like I was watching a concert. It was packed to the gills with screaming fans. I want to go to an SOS show so badly because they just look like they're so much fun. I want to be part of the island audience. Island audience! So be sure to check out SOS Wrestling on IWTV. You will not be disappointed. Number 9. So I know that this is a breakout list, but real quick, I want to talk about how much it sucks to break in to professional wrestling. When you're the bottom rung of the ladder and you have to work your way up, when you're still a student in the eyes of most of your peers, it sucks. Like, you have to show up early, you have to be one of the people that helps set up the ring, and then during the show you get assigned like a crappy job. If you're lucky, it's one where you get to at least watch the show, like security or ringing the bell or running music. If you're not lucky, you get a job like, hey, when people go through the curtain, sometimes it gets a little jangled. You're unjangler for this show. Just every time someone walks through the curtain, make sure the curtain's not jangled. You're not going to be able to see the show from behind the curtain. If you can see the show, you're doing the job wrong. So unjangle that curtain. It sucks, but you have to do it. And if you're lucky, when you do that, a company will be like, hey, all the students that helped out, you get to have a match. Not a one-on-one match. You get to be in a battle royal or a 12-person tag. That's your first year in the world of professional wrestling. And it's really hard to stand out when you're always in these multi-man matches. But this person did. Coming out of Catch Point, it is the Denim Dolphin, Julesy. Julesy broke in as part of the Afro Dojo as a tag team, but seems to be focused more on singles action. And Julesy has something about him that makes you watch him. Nobody looks like Julesy. He has kind of a 60s hippie vibe, and nobody moves like Julesy. He's got great body control, a lot of striking, a lot of fluid movements. There's something special about him, and even though he has under 40 matches at time of recording, I can already tell that there's something different about Julesy that you're gonna want to pay attention to. So be sure to check out the Denim Dolphin, Julesy. Number 8. It's time for my one and only tag team this year. I do love tag team wrestling, but I only had room for one tag team. And if you know anything about me, I love all types of professional wrestling. I love lucha, I love technical wrestling, I love deathmatch wrestling. I'm all over the spectrum. But one thing that always hits my heart is the individual who doesn't look like a professional wrestler, like doesn't fit the mold of a professional wrestler, but can still get it done in the ring. I love me a big guy wrestler. I love me a tiny guy wrestler. Something that's different, something that makes you stand out. And as I was watching a lot of things for Wrestle Chowder, this one tag team kept popping up, and I was like, I really like something about them. I really enjoy them. And I had to include them on my list. From Oregon, they are your current POW Tag Team Champions, Jack and Sledge, the Hammer Brothers. So they do a construction worker gimmick. Very fun. Throwback to like the 80s WWF wrestling where you have a job as your gimmick. They make me laugh, they get it done in the ring. I really enjoy the Hammer Brothers. But that wouldn't be enough normally to make it on this list. And then I saw something special. I believe it was DOA Wrestling was doing a storyline where the Hammer Brothers were having the Hammer Brothers gimmick stripped away from them. They didn't get to be the Hammer Brothers anymore. And it pained me to watch. Like, the way that these two were able to emote that feeling of having their identity stripped away because some authority figure willed it, and still having to go to work and wrestle and get made fun of and get driven down. They were able to convey that very complex emotion through just a simple facial expression. They are so much more than a construction gimmick. These two are so talented, and I feel like they will not get the spotlight that they deserve. So I am willing into existence that everyone check out Jack and Sledge, the Hammer Brothers. Number 7. Now, I know I just said that I'm a fan of all types of wrestling, but if I really am honest with myself, I love a striker. I like someone that goes in there and just throws bombs. I just find that very entertaining. And I personally can't believe that this person took 4 years to be on my list. I was so positive I had already mentioned her. And that is the Combat Fights Unlimited champion, the submission sniper, Jordan Blade. You may know Jordan Blade from Bloodsport this year from GCW. She had a fantastic match with Layla Hirsch. Jordan Blade has all the tools to be a huge force in the world of professional wrestling. Just the lethal striking that is so believable that I just love. Now, Jordan has been spending a lot of time in the tag division, teaming with Eel O'Neill as part of Kings of the District. Eel O'Neill, another person I'm a big fan of, who actually did hang up the boots this year. So I feel like this has to be the year that Jordan Blade breaks out on her own. It is so often that I am backstage in a locker room and we're discussing matches for the future, and I hear someone say, "Can we get Jordan Blade? Jordan Blade would be a good fit for this." Jordan Blade makes an impact on any card you book her on. So make sure you check out Jordan Blade. Number 6. Now, I said I don't usually put big names on this list, but this is going to be an exception to the rule because this is someone I think is going to have a very big year. And that's Big Calyx. I've known Big Calyx for about a decade now. I knew Big Calyx when he first got into the business under the name Calyx the Castigator. And while Big Calyx has always had all the tools to go far in professional wrestling, he's got the charisma, he's got the ability, he's got the mobility for a big man, he's never had the hunger that I see in him today. Big Calyx recently reinvented himself, and in doing so, reignited his passion for professional wrestling. I've never seen Big Calyx this motivated, and it's already starting to shine through. He recently had a match in Power Pro Lucha against Bear Bronson, recent TNA signing, Bear Bronson, and it was fantastic. You can watch that right now on IWTV. And that is clearly the first step of an amazing year in 2026 for Big Calyx. Number 5. Question for you. What makes an effective heel? You might think something like being the antagonist for the babyface. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. You might think being devious and conniving and slimy. Yeah, those can definitely work in being a heel. You might think taking something away from the crowd that they want to see, taking away their joy and excitement. That is a fantastic answer. But there is one element that I feel like a lot of professional wrestlers forget when it comes to being a heel. And that is, as they say in the business, showing ass. It is important for a heel to look foolish on occasion, to get their comeuppance, to make the protagonist, the babyface, look good, to give that relief to the crowd as they were upset about the joy that the heel had stolen from them. And I feel like a lot of wrestlers miss that. A lot of wrestlers want to be the cool heel. You know, the ones that can still sell merch, the ones that people still want to cheer for. It's important to have the people who can be a little embarrassed and make other wrestlers look good. And not only does this person do it perfectly, I've never seen someone be able to pull this off and not hurt their credibility in any way. Every time they get embarrassed, it's just as funny to me. And I still always take them seriously as a competitor. That's the way it should be. A heel should not be afraid to show ass on occasion and look a little foolish to build up the babyface and not have it hurt their credibility. This person does it better than anyone else. On Becca, on God, you know you want this hot bod.
On Becca, on God, I'll make you wish you had this hot bod. I be flexing like the dude's high on tread, all natural. Better give her 10s.
I love Becca. If you don't know who Becca is, she has been on the independents for a while and she is a pop star. She always comes to the ring singing. And she actually is a very good singer, but you wouldn't know that by the way that she portrays her character. There is always a moment in a Becca match that stands out because it is a bit of silliness. A bit of her getting chased around while she's desperately trying to sing. Her trying to sing while in a submission hold. Her getting the mic taken away from her. Becca is masterful at that. And then, on top of that, the matches are good. She is always an intimidating threat, and people are starting to take notice. She recently had a shot at the WWE ID Championship. She is your current Dreamwave Women's Champion. She is also the current BST Monarch Champion. Becca knows what she's doing. She is a great mind for professional wrestling, and you should take notice. Number 4. I always try to make sure I have at least one deathmatch wrestler on my list because deathmatch wrestling is professional wrestling. Don't listen to Jim Cornette. And my choice this year, I think this is the highest I've ever put a deathmatch wrestler, is so technically sound, so physically gifted. He can do it all. He's a high flyer, he can do lucha spots, he can wrestle, and of course he can work a strong deathmatch. And that's Tarzan Duran. Tarzan Duran is a guy that every time I see him, my first thought is, my day just got better. I just love being around Tarzan Durand. And people are starting to take notice of this. Tarzan's actually starting to teach now. He is a trainer over at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy in New Jersey. And he's making his presence known, doing insane things in places like JCW and CZW. And it is just a matter of time before you see him carrying a big gold belt. So be sure to keep an eye on Tarzan Durand. Number 3. Fun story here about our number 3. I was working a show for Superpowers of Wrestling, and there I saw Jordan Oliver. And yeah, you know, the one who got signed by AEW. And I was like, hey Jordan, what's the deal with your match today? We're on a first name basis, it's cool. And Jordan explained that he was going to work a kid that he saw a lot of potential in. He really saw a lot of talent in him, and he wanted to give him a chance in a big match. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll make that the story of the match when I'm doing commentary. Cool. And then I walked up to his opponent and said, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself so I know what to put over on commentary. And he said, I don't know. This is only my 9th match. He was in single digits in terms of experience. And I was like, okay, that's fine. If you think of anything, let me know. And I went out and I called the match, and it was one of the best matches of the night. And then he seemed to pop up everywhere I looked. He was popping up in Pro Wrestling Unplugged, in Power Pro Lucha, in GCW. Everywhere seemed to have this guy's face popping up on my screen. And every time I saw him, made a little note, and he got a little bit higher on my potential breakout list. And then he broke into my potential breakout list, and then he reached number 3 on my breakout list, and that's Flying Ryan O'Neal. Flying Ryan comes out of Cheeseburger's Worldwide Dojo and has only 53 matches under his belt and has already shown to be an impressive talent in the squared circle. He's only a year into his career. He currently holds the Captured Lightning Championship, and there is nowhere else to go but further and further up. Up into the clouds goes Flying Ryan O'Neal. Watch him now, he's growing fast. Number 2. So I was lucky enough to work a Labor of Love show where I ended up meeting my number 2 for 2026, and that's Spike Nishimura. I met Spike and I was like, oh, okay, I hadn't met her before. I was like, oh, she's pretty cool. Like, she's got a good look. She looks like a fighter. Like, she doesn't look like an ass kicker. She looks like a scrappy fighter. Great strike style, very quick. I was like, okay, she seems neat. It's nice to meet you. And then I saw her in a tag team match and I was like, whoa, Spike might be really good. And then I started watching Pro Wrestling Open and seeing Spike pop up there, and I was like, oh, Spike might be really good. And then I started watching Rad Pro Wrestling, which is a promotion that is set in the 90s with a lot of big characters. And Spike started popping up there doing some very interesting character work, and I was like, oh, Spike might be amazing. And then I heard that Spike went to Japan to start training with the Sendai Girls. And I said, oh, Spike's about to blow up. Everyone needs to follow Spike Nishimura. Spike is going to be the future of independent wrestling. You gotta check her out now. Number 1. So here's a little secret about these lists. I start making the list the moment that the previous video is done. Like, as soon as I'm done editing this video, I will start making a list of people who might be my breakout star in 2027. And there's always a list of people that like get moved around. Like the list tends to shuffle around and people get off the list, get put back on the list, move positions. That's just kind of the ebbs and flow of the year. Until this year. This year, when I started working on the 2026 Breakout list, there was a guy I put in the number 1 slot. And he stayed there the whole year because every time I saw him wrestle, he got better and more impressive. I am talking about the super heavyweight striker. I'm talking about the king of the county roads. I'm talking about the Appalachian ace, Troy Parker. Troy Parker, you may know from having the best match at CZW. Which event? All of them. Every time I sit down to watch a CZW show from the commentation booth, I know that the match of the night is whatever Troy Parker is in. It's because he's strong, it's because he's fast, it's because he has the ability, but most importantly, it's because he has one of the best minds for wrestling that I have ever seen. I've been calling Troy matches for 3-4 years now. And Troy always includes something in terms of storytelling that if you're really paying attention, unlocks like an Easter egg. Like every time I see Troy, I, as a commentator, get a moment where I can say, oh, he's calling back to the previous match here at CZW. Oh, look how Troy has grown. Troy constructs an amazing story every time he's in the ring. Whether that's in a scramble, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a tag match, Troy puts together something amazing. Give Troy all the titles. I just looked at his cage match, and the only title he has held is the CZW Tag Team Championship for less than a day. We need to drape this man in gold. Because every time I see him, he gets that much better. It is time to recognize the ability of Troy Parker. And that's going to do it for my list. Those are the 10 names that I believe are going to have a breakout year here in 2026. How many of those names did you know? How many will you know by the end of the year? Let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know who you think missed the list. What was I wrong about? Who should have been on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, you could hit subscribe. That'll let you know when I'm uploading a new video. And that'll be sent right to your feed. Won't that be nice? Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a great day.